All right, what's up? What up, Dolu?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
All right. There's a whole other chat going on at the same time right now.
It's a whole other what?
I just looked on Twitter. I almost jumped into the wrong room.
Oh,
There was like another boxing chat going on right now.
Oh, I don't know. I'm just working in my garden. Summertime in the city. What's up, though?
I don't know, man. If I felt like all the hate I've been getting the last 24 hours, I thought I might get the best shot on Chicken Talk.
Oh, of course. I mean, you wasn't the judge. Haney wasn't
the
judge.
Fuck, I wasn't the judge. I mean, like, dude, of all, Moretti should be called to the carpet for the 10th round. That was the only thing unusual about the scoring or this fight. And by the way, turn off the goddamn homerism on ESPN and watch the fight without the sound. And you'll see one guy won a lot of the earlier rounds. One guy came on at the end and took off the fucking last round, and it turned out to be a round of draw. And on a fight that could have gone either way, it went to the undisputed champion, a guy holding all the belts, who, by the way, is an American in America and all that other stuff. But it wasn't a robbery. It's boxing judging is not objective; it's subjective. And by the way, the combinations, Loma had the louder combinations, and he had a couple of rounds that were cleaner and clearer than a lot of Devin's rounds. But all that body work was killing Loma early. And the counter punches were crisp. And the jab was good. It didn't command the fight. Interestingly, I thought it was the body work that got Devin the win. But, like, that wasn't, like, I would have been okay if it went the other way by a point. I mean, I would have, it was that kind of fight. But, like, all this faux outrage, and where is all this, like, the people, when white people are bringing race into the shit, it makes me want to laugh.
So you heard Paulie. You heard that statement by Paulie.
Dude, I don't want to even talk about this shit. It's specific. It's specificity. But any white person in America that wants to try to convince me that we're downtrodden can kiss my dago ass. Because you're out of your fucking mind. You're out of your fucking mind. Stop.
A white man can't get a shot in America today. All this wokeism.
And by the way, where is all of this empathy going for the former Soviet Union? Like, are our fighters making money over there? Is Putin inviting our people over to overpay them and pay them? And what do you think? What kind of fair shake do you think American fighters would get if they were going over to one of the red bloc former Soviet countries or to the Soviet Union? There's a reason they never had our fighters over there. But I'm supposed to, wow, man, a Russian can't get a break in America these days. I don't give a fuck. Sorry. I don't care. I don't think the fight was a ripoff. And it was, if it would have gone one round in Loma's direction, Bill and Devin might have gone crazy, but I wouldn't have. Because it was that kind of fight.
Exactly.
My card had a draw. The champion retains his title. I don't think a swing of one round, which is what it was on the two cards that were correct in my mind, is any way out of line or inappropriate. I thought, if anything, look, I don't score fights when I'm sitting there like with bias. I'm actually going the opposite direction. I'm trying to figure out, okay, where does this most likely wind up, right? And I had a draw. That's what I had on my card. When I looked at the end, that's what I had. And by the way, maybe if Loma didn't take his foot off the pedal in the last round, and the last round looked like 10 or 11, my card would have been different. Yep. I would have been shutting up right now.
Yeah, maybe if he got the knockdown in the 11th and then didn't take off the 12th, he could have won the fight. But that's on nobody.
It's not that he could have won the fight. He would have won the fight.
Yeah.
Because the cards, other than, if that would have happened, other than Moretti, who fucked up the 10th round, he would have gotten the split. Loma would have gotten the split decision. But guess what? He did take the 12th round off. His bad. By the way, I love Bill. Bill's my guy. But I think Bill telling Devin you were way ahead with a couple of rounds left also, in my mind, after I watched the fight again, I didn't see it that way. But, what do I know? I wasn't in the ring, but I didn't see it that way. Because I thought that last round, the fight hung in the balance.
I did too. But Loma's father also told him he was ahead.
Well, it was that kind of fight. Yeah. I think they both believed it. And by the way, it wasn't that kind of fight because someone didn't fight well. The the unfortunate part of this bullshit controversy, and look, controversy because it's debate is fine. Controversy, oh yeah, go after Moretti for a bad 10th round. No, the judges didn't miss the fight. It was that kind of fight. You may not like the result if you're a no, you don't like the result if you're a Loma fan, and you like the result if you're a Haney fan. And if you watched it on ESPN, I like those guys. I respect them. A lot of those announcers are my friends. They were so over the top pro Loma that it had to affect a lot of people that were watching the pay per view. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah, especially since a lot of the people that were watching the pay per view don't watch fights every weekend.
That's true. I mean, you know, but I think that kind of an and look, by the way, in fairness to the announcers, you could have saw the fight that way. It also goes to what you value. I love body work, and I was focused in on how much of it Haney was doing. So when people in my row were trying to tell me Loma was winning all those early rounds, I was like, no, man, you're seeing something very different than I'm seeing. Because I saw rounds Devin was clearly out in my mind outlanding him early, and the body work was really bothering Loma early, and Devin early was also countering his head off. But you know what? Flurries, like Loma was pressing him back and throwing some flurries that stole some of those close rounds, right? Flurries look prettier than body work. They look prettier than jabs. They look prettier than counterpunching. But that's why one of the reasons why Floyd had so many haters. And let me tell you, as Devin develops and keeps winning, he's going to have so many haters too. But I think he just moved into an echelon of being a bigger fighter now after having these 4 belts, having now a pay-per-view under his belt. It's not such a bad thing if you have haters and fans. It's not such a bad thing because as long as people care about you, whether they want to see you get beat or they want to root for you, it's good for your career. No one proved that more than Floyd Mayweather.
Yep, that's true. That's true. Now look, you see this latest Paulie interview where he said,
"Dude, let me tell you something. I worked for many years with Paulie. We didn't end so great. We're cool now. The best way for me to stay cool with Paulie is not to watch his shit."
Okay. Well, he supposedly broke some news. Maybe you can enlighten us on it. That Haney re-signed with Top Rank 2 days before the fight.
I don't believe that for a fucking second.
Yeah, I didn't either. It was. I thought it was another.
Oh, hold on. First of all, let me tell you something about Top Rank. Okay, they're as professional a fucking company as there is out there. They're the biggest by far. They have the biggest business structure, and there are very smart people running the fucking place. Do you ever believe they would have behaved like you would have heard Aram on that hot mic, and no one would have gone to they had a long-standing relationship with Loma. And after, it was clear that Loma was sort of their guy. They didn't do anything inappropriate in the fight. The fight, obviously, Devin won. Everything was done on the get-go. Devin got a great advantage by getting ESPN's push on these last 3 fights, right? But do you believe? Why would Bill Haney, when he's about to have all the leverage in the world, re-sign 2 days before a fight?
True, but that was just a conspiracy theory as to why they gave it to Haney instead of Loma.
Did you hear the hot mic with Bob saying you clearly won the fight?
Yeah, I posted the video.
Okay, with all due respect, that man could be 99 and he could be crawling into his coffin at 99 and he ain't going to do something so stupid if he just re-signed the guy 2 days before the fight.
That's true. That is true.
And by the way, Devin's free to do, Devin's going to weigh everything right now. I don't think Bill would ever give away that leverage that he knew he had if he won 2 days before a fight. So I don't buy that breaking news. But someone could call Bill and Devin. I speak to them regularly. I think they probably. I don't buy that news. I don't believe that news.
All right. So anyway, what about the fight itself, the atmosphere, the event? Let's talk about that. Some good news.
It was sold out, and look, I also think even in the arena there was a very pro Loma crowd. It was split, but the Loma fans, there were more of them, and it was louder. Right, and I think that Devin did his thing and stayed in his game plan, stayed in his own head. He got the decision. I didn't think it was a bad decision. I still don't. I watched it again, to be honest with you. I watched it 2 more times, both without sound, none of the times did I have him losing. So, like, the more I watched it, the more good things I saw he did. And by the way, the more good things I saw Loma did. It was a really, really, really highly contested fight. And I think both guys fought at the top of their game. That was the best I've seen Loma in years, honestly. And I think it was the best fight that Devin ever fought.
Yeah, it was. It was by far his best fight. It was by far his best fight. He impressed me a lot. Like, everybody know I picked Loma to win. But Devin, when that fight was over, I said a draw, maybe shaded either way. But when I started hearing people yelling robbery, it just
Now,
blew
I
my
knew
mind.
it was going to do, dude. I knew there was going to be craziness, and I also knew it was going to be much louder craziness if it was in favor of Devin. And I don't want to discuss why I thought that. I don't want to discuss all the reasons. But if you've been looking at social media the last couple of days, you know what I'm talking about. But I knew it was going to be contentious because I had a draw, and I think I score really fucking well. And I mean, I wasn't sitting here, contrary to what people think, I don't have Devin on any paper, any future relationship, locked in. I wasn't. And by the way, when I'm interested in a fighter, I'm almost more sort of looking at, okay, if people are being reasonable, where's the guy I want to win here? Where's he really stand? And at the end of the fight, I had a draw, but here's what I had. I had 4 fucking rounds scored. Because I don't score like I don't know if anyone knows this or notices. Nevada judges don't score even rounds. So when I'm scoring a fight that's a big fight happening in Nevada, I score every round, right? But I had 4 rounds scored that I had no fucking clue. And it wasn't because those rounds necessarily nothing was happening. It was just either not much was happening or so much was happening, and it was coming from both sides that I really wasn't sure. But I had 4 of those circled where I couldn't figure. Really, I had no conviction, right? I mean, if you're not going to score, if those are the way the fight is, and I think if anyone who has a brain or a real serious knowledge of boxing and is not a casual, particularly an educated fan or a boxing professional watching that fight, no one can tell me that they didn't think it was super close. And the rounds within the rounds were super close. When that happens, it's very hard to score a fight.
Yeah, but now they're talking about redoing the whole scoring system just because Loma lost.
They need to redo the whole system of boxing.
Yeah,
but not because
but
this
not because
fucking
Loma
fight.
lost.
I mean, dude, within 24 hours of last week, I still have no fucking clue how Rolly Romero's walking around with some fucking kind of piece of jewelry. I have no fucking idea how that guy has the belt. And that all went away within 12 hours. But this was like the outrage of the century. I'm like laughing.
Does this sound go up?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah. I hear you now.
No, I said that Rolly Romero, I have no idea how he's a champion. And that whole outcry disappeared in hours. Now, maybe because not a lot of people saw the fight, but and maybe because I think the commentary on that fight was a lot less one-sided.
Yeah.
But that outcry went away, and now you would think that this was the robbery of the century. Let me tell you something. Switch the 10th round, and he has the same 117. He has the same 115, 113 fight as the other 2 guys.
Yeah.
And by the way, a 7-5 fight either way, as a basketball fucking star had to point out with one of the most sane tweets about the fight, where he said, I had a draw, could have gone one round either way. That's how I saw it. That's how I saw it. That's how a lot of fucking people saw it. And it would have been fine to think Devin won close and debate Loma's fans, and it's fine to think that Devin won. I'm sorry that Loma won 7-5 and fight with the Haney fans, but to call that a robbery or attack the kid or act like this was some kind of outrageous, the decision just belies the lack of understanding of boxing.
Yeah, and especially when you're supposed to have commentators there giving the more casual fans an understanding of boxing, how rounds are scored.
No,
really
but guys, we have. I'm going to repeat the same theme that comes up at every fucking time I talk to Chicken Talk, which is my general disdain for these exclusive deals with networks. But as long as you're going to have that, particularly if it's in effect the promoter, picking the fucking announce team and the announce team knowing where their bread is buttered, what people got, you serve your fucking employer. That's how it works. Whether you're a fucking, I mean, this isn't the old days of HBO boxing where you had where you had a bunch of guys commentating who didn't give a fuck. Now people care about getting paid, and if they piss off the people paying them, they don't continue to get paid. And I'm not saying it's like. And by the way, I'm not indicating that the guys watching the fight for ESPN didn't think Loma was winning. A lot of people thought Loma was winning, but I think their over the top pro Loma affected a lot of people watching it on pay per view. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I'd like to hear the perspective of some of the other people on the call right now about that. But I think it was hard. It would have been. It's by the way, it's similarly hard on a lot of other shows where you see the homerism in the announcing, not to have the announcing affect you in a super close fight.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So what you got? What you think is next for Mr. Devin Haney?
I think it's way too early to ask that question. I don't think it's even clear what weight he's going to stay at. I think he and his, you got to give it a little bit of time. I don't think. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a Shakur Stevenson fight. I think after sort of the Shakur being there in the ring to take some shine away, I don't think there's any chance that's happening. I also, frankly, Aram himself. Now, what's Aram going to change his tune? Aram before the fight said it ain't big enough right now. Guess what? I agree with Bob Aram. I think that fight will probably not happen next. I think if his body can tolerate 135, there's only a couple of alternatives, but they're pretty clear. The biggest of which would be Davis. But do I see that happening now? Probably not. I don't see that happening now, and I don't know. Probably the second biggest fight, if he stayed at 35, would be Loma. The other thing too is I think if he goes up, he may never come down because, dude, he looks it pains me to watch. I don't care how professional he is at losing the weight, and obviously he is. He's able to do it, but he looks like fucking Skeletor on Tuesday or Wednesday. A fight week. I mean, he looks really sucked in. That has to. You can't be your best when you're battling weight as well as your opponent. So Bill and Devin and their team have to decide, are they staying at the weight? And there's no reason for him to make that decision in the next few days, and I don't expect them to.
All right. Well, have you talked to Devin and Bill since the fight? How are they doing? They doing all right? And
they're good, man. They're good. Look, he's a mature kid. The kid is a mature kid, and I don't think he's taken all this stuff personally. I think he did what he had to do. He still has his belts, and he's a young, very rich guy, only beginning his career. I mean, the kid's in a very good spot, and I got to tell you, man, I was super, super impressed by that performance. I've always thought that Devin had as much or more talent than anybody. But his fights honestly have been more tactical and less pleasing. I don't think most of us expected a fight that good. Like, if you want, look at the good fucking side of things and put the other shit aside. You can't fight a fight at a much higher skill level, and both those guys fought a pleasing fight. That wasn't in any way like a boring. Yeah, it was a chess match where they were playing offensive chess, and it was also a chess match that went down to the very last moves. It was highly competitive, very close, fought at a skill level like I haven't seen in a while. I mean, Davis looked great and the way he took out Ryan, but I wouldn't say that was a particularly high skill level fight on both ends the whole way. Like, every round of this fight, you had to watch carefully. And that's one of the reasons why the fight's so controversial, because you really had to watch every round closely and see what is being done. Those flashy combos where Loma would come forward, miss a couple of the punches, but fairness, land a few of them. They all looked flashier than those body shots Devin was landing and the counter punches. But they score those counter punches and body shots for a good judge should be scoring equally.
Facts. You want to take a couple questions?
Yeah, sure. That's why I'm here, bro.
All right. Anybody got some questions, request to speak, y'all can get up here and anticipate. I got a question for you. What's the pay-per-view numbers? Can we get an exclusive?
No, because anyone who tells you the pay-per-view numbers on Monday is sort of full of shit. So I know nothing, and when I know, I'll honestly, ESPN and Aram will announce it, but
it looked like it did a lot better than most people.
I look, when everything else does, the sponsorships did better than people anticipated. The gate was sold out for the setup in the room, sold out, clean. Like people didn't expect that. The gate was millions of dollars. People didn't expect that. I mean, it was so the fight did well. And also, when you see so much social media heat, that means the fight did okay. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like just that all the impressions on social media right now and the contemporaneous stuff that blew up the night of the fight didn't fail. It's just a matter of seeing what it did, right?
Yep. What up, Lex? Go ahead, Lex.
What's good, boy? Lou, how you doing, man?
I'm fine, bro.
Awesome. I wanted to ask, you've been a part of some pretty big fights historically. Where would you compare your experience being a part of Devin and Lomachenko to some of the other great fights you've been in the past?
You know, it's that's a very good question, but it's sort of not a fair question because boxing's in a different place, right? So, like, you know, there were fights that you couldn't literally walk into the front of the hotel at the MGM. When there were like De La Hoya, Trinidad kind of fights and stuff of the magnitude back then when the sport, frankly, was bigger than it is right now. But in recent years, this had a very much a big fight feel, even much more so as it got closer to the fight. Like the last couple of days, this was a big fight, and more importantly, in the arena, it was like live, man. It was off the hook. Like there was a lot of emotion in the room. More people were rooting for Loma than for Devin, but people that were rooting hard. The fight never, like, there was drama the entire fight. I don't think anyone anticipated that in a fight. Look, when you're using chess pieces to promote the fight, you're obviously expecting more of a tactical fight. While it was a tactical fight, it was a very hotly contested tactical fight. It was like a tactical fight where the guys tried to hurt each other, and neither one of them came out of the fight looking like they weren't in a fight. And by the way, not that this matters because I think it means nothing. If you looked at Loma's face, you knew he didn't win easy because
Okay. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. What about that? What did you think of that Nakatani Maloney fight?
I love Nakatani. I think he's an animal. Japanese boxing right now, man. It's like I was talking to Mr. Honda, who like is like the guy in Japan, and Japanese boxing right now. There are some real stars, and there's some really really good fighters, and Nakatani's a problem. He's a problem. Before that punch was scary. And you know what? I got to give props to the matchmakers at Top Rank, and I give props where they do. I try to be like fair to people. Like the matchmaking group at Top Rank is the best in the business. Period. Like no one like. And by the way, PBC has good matchmakers too. I'm not saying they don't. I don't. I'm not going to shit on certain people, but I think there are certain big companies that matchmaking is not very good. But I think that the matchmaking at Top Rank is sort of top notch. Even like from the undercard stuff that was on ESPN, the matches were very, very good Saturday night. And I thought the undercard, like this was like a strong card through and through. I don't think one person, even the ones that are pissed off, thought they didn't get their money's worth.
Yeah, I got my money's worth, except for the Valdez fight. You got to hear the commentary on that one. That was just as bad as the Devin Haney fight.
I got to be honest. Like, I don't like. I have a lot of friends among these commentators, and it's not like I don't think people are doing their jobs. It's not that I don't think people are trying to make their points, but man, that I may leave the volume on Showtime, maybe. But and I watch my own the commentary on my own little tiny cards because I think that my guys are good, but I also want to hear what they're doing.
Broke up.
I don't listen to the commentary. I wanted to hear the commentary when I watched the fight again, after like I watched the fight twice since I was in there. Once I watched it with the commentary only to shake my head and say, okay, I get why so many viewers had it, with that over the top. But then I watched it without the commentary, and I sort of still scored it the same way I scored it in the arena. If anything, I saw more clearly another round I could have swung to Devin. But I had a draw pretty much when I watched it live, and I didn't think I was wrong when I watched it with no volume. And by the way, when I watched it with no volume, I certainly thought 7-5 either way was appropriate because I mean, that was really one of the closest fights I have ever seen. Like in terms of difficulty of scoring, one guy winning the beginning, one guy winning more at the end. Like it was a very, very hard fight to score. Even within the rounds, it was a very hard fight to score. And I think what makes so many people upset, and I don't blame them, I don't blame Igas, I don't blame Lomachenko. How the fuck could they? I mean, like Devin didn't win the 10th round, and he didn't win the fucking 11th round. He didn't. And if you had it that way, you had it fucking wrong. Period.
Yeah, but even not giving Devin that 10th round, he's more in line. I mean, it's one round off. He's more in line with the other two judges. But what do you think with all this controversy and people being upset that it makes a rematch lucrative?
Oh, I absolutely. I mean, I'm not speaking to whether Bill or Devin have any desire for it, but of course, fucking that kind of outcry and shit makes it. The fight sold out in the first place in a pro Loma room. Like, I mean, right now, I'll tell you right now, the gate sells out in a rematch 100%. And does anything tell you the pay-per-view would be smaller? Why would the pay-per-view be smaller? I mean, the controversy here has the debate. I want to call it debate because it shouldn't be controversy. It is only because a lot of people are biased or honestly, don't know so much about boxing. But the debate is fire and justifiably. It's perfectly justifiable if you're a Loma fan to think you won. It's perfectly justifiable to think you won if you're Loma. Perfectly justifiable for Bill to think it was more of an 8-4, 7 clear win on his end. I didn't see it. I thought it was closer than that. But I mean, this was so score. Not outrageous just to have different opinions.
It's outrageous to say it's a robbery.
Yeah, man, it wasn't a robbery. There's so many fucking real robberies. To call this one a robbery sort of makes me laugh.
Yeah. What up, HOD? You got something?
Let me tell you something, man. No one in that motherfucking ring, no one knew exactly what was going to be announced. When that's the case, you can't bitch about 7-5 either way unless you got an agenda.
Exactly. HOD.
What's going on, Lefty? Thank you for having me on. Good afternoon, Lou. Thank you for taking your time for us small folks here in the boxing community.
No problem.
Do have a couple of questions. I heard your take, how maybe us the casual fans. I consider myself a hardcore casual fan. I'm not a professional, obviously. That we're not gonna know probably how to score this fight. Personally, I scored it 8-4 Loma, maybe 7-5 on a rewatch. But when I have we have the takes of Terrence Crawford, Nonito Donaire, Jorge Linares, Ugas, Shakur Stevenson.
All right. I don't give a fuck. Honestly, the last motherfuckers.
Well, I'm about to right now.
The last motherfuckers I would want judging the fight is any of those three people.
Understood.
And by the way, how do you think Ugas would? I mean, not for nothing. Not that I think I love Ugas, but how do you think he'd judge a fight if it was a really fight either way and there was a PBC guy against a non-one? Or what do you really expect Shakur Stevenson to say? Now that being said, it doesn't really matter. They were perfectly entitled to see it the way they did. I can name a lot of other fighters who are online right now saying, "How the fuck are you calling this a robbery?" There's a lot of those too. So I don't give a fuck. No offense, with Shakur.
No. This is just a question, Blue. It's not even about. It's just I'm trying. All these people, they all picked Haney to win.
Yeah, it's fine.
They all picked Haney to win convincingly, but they all came out saying 8-4, 7-5.
But look. It's three people whose opinion matters, and they all picked Devin Haney.
Okay, I want to tell you the other thing too. I literally don't think it was such a fight that I don't think any score within reason. Look, I got to be honest with you. Any fighter that told you that Loma won 8-4 also wasn't watching the motherfucking fight. Had an agenda because he didn't win 8-4, and neither did Devin. Neither one of them won fucking 8-4. It wasn't that kind of fight.
My last question, and I don't know if you can even comment on that, but reports out there, and we know this man Malignaggi has nothing good to say about Haney.
We already discussed that. No, and it's not true. It's not been confirmed. No.
I
Copy
do
that.
not. I do not at all believe that happened at all. Now, is it possible? Look, there were a lot of big fights that still flow through Top Rank in ESPN, and if that's one of the fights that Devin and Bill decide they want, they're going to be sitting down and making that fight. But why would they before this fight, 2 days before? Why? No, believe me, I completely don't believe that report.
The before would be the consensus, is that's why they made sure Haney won the fight. That would be the roaming thing out there because of that.
Okay, and then Bob Arum's going to go on a live mic and say you won the fight easy, right? And by the way, have you seen Top Rank jumping up and down, trying to use their social media, which is the best in all of boxing, to really push Devin in the last couple of days? No, because Loma's been with them forever, and Bob thought Loma won the fight, which is fine. He's entitled to.
Yeah, man. And Paulie is a conspiracy theorist, man. Come on.
Dude, I with all due respect, Paulie, like I got no hate at all. He can go out there and say whatever the motherfucking thing he wants to say. I don't pay attention. But then again, like I said earlier, I'm not like the guy that used to read and watch and listen to everything motherfuckers have to say about boxing, because frankly, I just overall don't have that much respect for most of the guys doing the talking.
If I may, one last question.
If you want to read a really good article on the fight, I thought Adam Abramowitz's take on the fight was very accurate.
He did do a good article.
I thought that like, and he happened to have it a draw like I had it. He had it the same way, but more so his analysis of the fight, I thought was like actually something that one of the good writers 20 years ago would have written. Like it was a really not a bias, completely honest appraisal by a guy that is a real legitimate guy that understands boxing a little bit and wrote a really good article. I thought if you want to read a good article about the fight, I thought that was a good article about the fight.
That's AA, Adam Abramowitz, snboxing.com. Edgar, what you got for us, Edgar?
So just based on our guys' opinion, what's the probability of a actual rematch actually happening? I know that, the fact that Bill and Haney, both of them, they think, this was a fight that we dominated, that's their thought, but like I think that's just something that they would say.
First of all, give him a chance. Let him rewatch the fight. Give him a chance or whatever. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, of course.
He won, and I don't think there was anything wrong with him winning. And I don't think he should apologize for fucking winning. And I think the kid fought a great fucking fight. I thought Loma fought a great fight too, but I thought the kid fought a great fight. I have no fucking problem with him. Okay, granted, you want to say I'm biased. I'm not. I really, am I biased? If I thought it was not the kind of fight that could have gone either way, I would say it. I tend to say what I think, generally not giving a fuck. And if I really legitimately thought it was a kind of fight that could have gone either way. And it went the way of the guy who held all the belts, who earned them. And there was no reason for him to apologize. And there was no reason for him not to hold his head high and say, I am the man. He's entitled to do that. Now, here's like, also, you asked a question about likelihood of a rematch. Okay. No, the first question that they have to answer as a team is not about the rematch. It is about, will my body allow me to keep competing at 35? That is the first question. And may even be, because I've heard Devin say this in some interviews before the fight, that he may want to hold the belts to an optional and test 40, right? But he has to determine first, do I want to stay at this weight? And that's the first thing that he and Bill and their team have to decide. And it's only going to be he and Bill that really decide that. It's not going to be any promoter or whatever. That's the first thing they have to decide. Because until they decide that, they don't really know who it makes the most sense to talk to, right? And you want to know what fight you're going after before you do anything, right? So,
right.
True, of course.
So I don't think there's really no answer for that. I was asked earlier, do I think a rematch with Loma would be a big fight? Yes, it would be a bigger fight than the first one. But I the only people that are going to really make their mind up on what they want to pursue are going to be Bill and Devin and Bill in that order, because I do think Devin is his own boss, largely, and I think it's going to be Devin and Bill, and I think they're going to make that decision and then figure out where it goes from there.
So if Bob offers Haney a new contract, just based on your opinion in terms of you being around promoters and everything.
Yeah, but you keep saying Bob offers Haney a new contract. Who do you think? Not for nothing. Like, Bob didn't offer Haney the original contract. I made the deal with Haney. I had Cambosis. That's how. No, but I'm not. It's not bragging. It's a matter of just talking about how the business works, right? Like Bob made the deal on this last fight because clearly it was a Lomachenko fight. It was ESPN. Bob brought ESPN to the whole deal. The first two fights were financed mostly out of first fight completely basically out of Australian money. The second fight more split, and the third fight was top ranked on and pay per view and ESPN. You know, they made that third fight. He had a multi fight deal. I know Haney well enough to know he's going to talk to everybody, and look at all options. But I don't know if you read the article Coppinger wrote. I know that Coppinger is not exactly a
I read it.
I know he's not. I know he's not a chicken talk favorite. But I think the article about Devin being his own man, his own promoter, to some extent, I think that there's a chance that you may not even see him do a deal with exclusive promoter right now, depending on what direction he goes in his next fight. Right. So
yep. Makes sense.
Right. So I think it's too early to make any calls on that.
Yep.
I know that Bill and Devin are going to talk to me, but I know that Bill and Devin are going to talk to everybody, and I know ultimately Bill and Devin are going to do what Devin decides, and with his father's counsel and his manager's counsel, who is his father and his trainer, they're going to decide what they think's best for him. That's how they've done it every step of his fucking career. And by the way, I want to commend them on one thing though. You noticed how Devin, they're professionals. Like when they make a deal, they're with the people they made the deal with. When they had the deal with Eddie and DAZN, they were with Eddie and DAZN. When I made the deal with them, they treated me like I had a deal with them. They've treated Top Rank the same way. They've honored their deals, and I expect them to continue to do that, and I expect them to continue to be their own people.
Didn't cry, didn't miss weight. Excuse me. Didn't miss weight. Had a little issue with his father getting over to Australia. Everything worked out. Yeah, they're very professional people, man. Very professional. And what's going on with Kambosos? Don't you got to fight something up?
Yeah, we're going to be announcing something at the end of the 22nd of July. He's going to fight in the States. I don't want to say too much because
Maxie Hughes.
Yeah, I mean, what you've seen is not inaccurate. It's accurate, and I think that's a very good fight. That's not a gimme kind of fight on a comeback. That's a Maxie Hughes. The reason Maxie has been defending this IBO title, and the reason he's been on DAZN so many times is because he's won so many fights that they set him up to lose. And he wanted the one thing he really wanted. He was they were trying to send him to Ireland to fight Cully. But he really didn't want to go to his opponent's hometown and never get the opportunity to fight a big fight, never get the opportunity to fight in America, right? So, I think that it's a good opportunity. It's going to be an IBF eliminator because both Maxie and George were highly rated in the IBF, and Maxie has the IBO title, and the IBO title is actually important in Australia because they recognize the IBO in Australia, right? So even though like the IBF eliminator is probably more important here, because if Devin were to move up and George wins that fight, he's fighting for a vacant title of the IBF, right?
Yep.
The IBO title is also important in Australia. And the one thing I got to tell you, George made some fans over the last couple. Years. I mean, George was, we had George around he's been fighting some of these amateur tournaments, but amateur tournaments, if you're in a former Soviet bloc country, are bigger than the pro boxing in a lot of ways. So him winning that world title, and by the way, your native land, your country is able to reward you for winning a championship. So Jalalov's been getting his bag, whether people know it or not, right?
Yeah.
But now he's ready for the big opportunities, and that he's coming off. He just finished the World Championships. It's time for him to get in 10 rounders with world ranked guys like ASAP, and that's going to be the agenda. He'll probably get in the ring mid-late. No, I don't want to say mid at this point because we're in late May, late summer.
So say in 2 years, do you see him and Anderson vying for a world title?
Yeah, in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if one or both of them wins one. Before they fight, or if they don't meet in a unification. I think that the top of the division, particularly with as much inactivity and all the bullshit, I think you're going to see a new top of this division in 2 years.
Yeah, these guys are on their way out.
I think
Look at
all
that.
of the guys. I think the entire top of the heavyweight division is on the way. All the guys in the bigger fights are on the way.
Yeah, they all are like 35 and older.
Yeah, they're all on the way out.
Yep. Okay. What's up, Gusto?
Hey, Left. Hey, Lou. What's going on? Hey, I wanted to ask Lou. I watched the good events that came up on the Zone. Do you plan on doing some more work with them in the future on some smaller house shows? And
I'm
what?
really hoping, man. I'm really hoping. Like I think
Yeah.
we delivered a really good. If you watched the first show, I thought it was a good
I,
show.
I,
I thought the production was fun. The room was live. The fights were good. I think they liked it. I think it's going to be a matter of their decision making and their budget. I'm sort of waiting to hear if they're testing a bunch of developmental series right now. So I'm hoping that. I mean, I know that I'm going to have at least one more before the end of the year. But I really want that platform, and I would literally deliver it. I'm not even looking to make money from their license fee, just to defer some of my costs, but to have the opportunity for people to have the DAZN platform to be able to see my shows regularly, that's good for my fighters I'm trying to develop. And by the way, like without a platform, without ESPN, Showtime, DAZN, like major money, like anything helps, and by the way, I think I've done a pretty fucking good job, doing what I'm doing when I don't have one of these fucking exclusive deals.
Solid work. So I was going to ask, with that show coming up, can we expect to see Erdenbot again? And also, can you give me an update on the beautiful Mary McGee?
Mary McGee, we got to get Mary back in the ring. That's something we have to do. She's a single mom. She's had other stuff on her plate, but I got to get her back in the ring. Yeah, you will see her soon. And you asked about the Mongolian mole.
Yeah. The Mongol. That's his new nickname, Lou. The Mongolian.
No, but I wish. I actually, I'm going to send. I'm going to put some. Actually, I didn't want to. I'll send some.
Put it on a shirt, Lou. Put it on a shirt, Lou.
You got to see
the shirt,
dude. You got to see the logo. It's one of the funniest things in history. But there's a lot of demands for the kid now. And by the way, the kid was in camp with Devin too, as lefty sparring for Loma. The kid can fight. The kid can flat out fight. He can fight. And he's fun. He's like a warrior kind of guy. You're going to see him back, definitely back on. He's going to be on one of those overtime shows in August, and probably fight once before then. One of those, the new overtime series. I expect that there's a good chance that Sendy will be on one of those shows in August, and I probably have another fight first.
All right. Well, this is my
Thanks,
my obligatory. What's going on with Conwell? Question.
He was in Vegas this weekend, and right now, dude, he's been sitting there. There's been no mandatory by Charlo at 154 in the BC forever. Okay, we fought a mandatory, paid the sanctioning fees. The kid won the fight. He's sitting at number 2. Number 1 is both injured and contracted to a stupid rematch with Eubanks, so he's unavailable. So right now, the mandatory of the WBC at 154 is Charles Conwell, right? So, we've been pressuring the BC for our opportunity. We're waiting on a decision from them. I heard through the grapevine that there might have been a rematch clause in the fight between Fundora and Mendoza.
What?
But yeah, I'm hearing that through the grapevine. But if that's true, that's some hot bullshit. And you can't do automatic rematches of a fucking interim title. You shouldn't be able to do optional defenses of an interim title. The whole rule, as it's written, says that, look, the BC can make an exception to any of their rules. So the fact, that's why Fundora fought Mendoza. But honestly, Fundora should have fought Conwell because Charlo's mandatory was pending. So the interim titleist is supposed to immediately inherit that mandatory. But you know how it works, man. Al's got a platform. I don't.
Yep. So
Conwell's going to get a big fight. I promise you, in the next 6 months.
What was up with the
in the next
Janibek? Did they
4
really offer Conwell a fight to go up to fight Janibek at 160?
I offered the fight to them. I negotiated it. I got the best number I got from Top Rank. Frankly, it was a pretty good number, but they didn't want to go to 160.
Ooh, you think? Well, of course, if you made the deal, you think he could have beat him, right?
Obviously, I wouldn't have suggested the fighter offered it or made the deal. I didn't make a deal because Charles and ability and his camp to determine who they want to fight. But I like the fight. I personally like the fight. And by the way, I don't think Janibek's bad. I just think Charles' style and boxing ability would have matched up well with him, and I like the fight. I also don't think Janibek's a particularly physically imposing middleweight, but I understand why Charles wanted to stay at 54. That's his comfort weight.
I get it. Anything else you got for us, Lou, before we wrap this on?
That's about it.
All right. Appreciate you taking your time with us again, and good luck with your upcoming cards, and hopefully you get that more cards on the zone. Oh yeah, the Mongolian Mo. Does he speak English?
Which one?
The Mongolian.
Oh, the Mongolian?
Yeah.
Very a little. He's trying, and by the way, he wants to learn. The kid is sort of like got a lot of swagger for a kid that's a foreign kid. Like he's got a lot of swagger. Like Janibek's got some swagger, but Zendi's trying to learn English. He did that little video in English. He's trying to learn English.
Okay.
I think he's going to have a nice run. I think he's never going to be in a bad fight. That kid never going to be in a bad fight.
Yeah. All right, I was going to see if we get him on Chicken Talk, but
no, that would be a problem. unless you bring in a Mongolian translator.
And I could find somebody that speaks Mongolian.
Try to find a brother that speaks Mongolian.
We'll see. We'll see.